Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at the premium Bandai real grade Gundam Astray gold frame Amatsu Hana. So before I actually fully get into this, I will mention that this is just a color variant of 2017's gold frame Amatsu Hana. So that means this is identical in pretty much every way, so that means essentially I have reviewed this already. So if you want to check out the black version, that's the standard version, I'll put a card right up there right now so you can click on that. And because of that, I was going to cut this down to a shorter review, but I feel like any kit I did review before the advent of me adding tiers to the reviews, of course that is brown tier, bronze tier, silver tier, gold tier, and Gundarium tier, before that ranking system, any of those reviews I'm doing a color variant kit of, I might as well do the whole review all over again. The reason being is I do feel that these are a little bit more in-depth than they used to be, so let me know what you guys think. Full reviews on kits that I would have reviewed before the tiering system, or should I just do a shorter, abridged version on these color variants? Let me know down in the comments anyway, but here we go. Once again, this video right here would not be possible without those absolutely fantastic people over at BUYEE, so I'll put a link down to BUYEE down in the description, as well as the link to the Amazon page I bought the Amatsu Hana from. But anyway, here we go. So before I talk about anything else at all, there is the Amatsu Hana with absolutely everything that comes in the box. Once again, exactly the same, besides the decals back there, as what we saw with the Amatsu Hana. And without a doubt, this kit will not leave you wanting, except for one thing, and that's the one thing this kit really needed, and that is an action base. It really should have come with one of these, because the amount of times this has fallen over is ridiculous, and I've just started. I've had to rearrange these 4 times because it fell. That's why it's in such a gimpy pose back there. But anyway, accessories-wise, awesome, but could have done with one of these. So if you're to buy one thing with this, it is most definitely an action base. So that right there is exactly what you'll get out of the box once you snap it together. I did add some of the decals, which I don't usually do, just because they are quite unique in this box. I didn't add too many, just so you can see what parts look like with them and what parts look like without. But regardless, this thing right here looks absolutely and utterly fantastic. This is probably one of the nicest looking Gundam kits I have ever laid my eyes on. 2017's standard variant, that would be the black one right here in its black, red, and gold, as well as those purplish parts as well. That looks absolutely fantastic. But there's something about the black color when it comes to things with lots of intricate detail, especially gunpla and whatnot, that means all that detail does get lost. So as detailed as it is, and how awesome that black on gold combo is, it just doesn't pop like this right here. This really is the difference between night and day right here. What you can see on here looks so fantastic. A lot of small detail you would have never even noticed on the black version just shines on here. This time around, it's pretty much identical color-wise, besides the white. I would almost say that the red is a little bit darker, but it's hard to tell. But this white color scheme is just so beautiful and regal. This looks mesmerizing. So just like the black on the original Amatsu Hana, the white on here is separated into multiple colors. As far as I can tell, there's 3 different shades of white. That is that gloss brilliant white we can see up on the wings there. We've got a bit of an off-white further down there. That is a glossy off-white that almost has a slight yellowish hue. May not pick up so much in the video though. Actually, at this point, I think there might be 4 shades of white, because I think we have a less glossy pure white and a less glossy yellowish white. The less glossy yellowish white is up there on the chest. The less glossy pure white is on the knees there. So I think we've got 4 shades in total. So all in all, looking fantastic. The gold just pops off of that so well. The red looks great. And the purple on there adds for some nice contrasting darker colors. Of course, you've probably noticed by now, but this kit right here is asymmetrical. Some people might love that, some people might hate that, but we do have this standard Astray arm included in here because, of course, this kit is based on 2017's real grade gold frame Amatsu Hana, which is based on 2015's real grade Gundam Astray red frame. So this is a color variant based on a variant based on the red frame. So that does mean on the runners we do have the red frame's arm, which is now in gold. So you do have the option of throwing that on there if you want it to be a little bit more symmetrical. But at the end of the day, this keeps it awesome and unique. Once again, I have to say, with all the gunpla I've ever built, this has to be the #1 most beautiful and most regal looking mobile suit I've seen so far. As for the build, it's actually pretty simple compared to how complex it looks, kind of in the way old real grades were. You just build onto that inner skeleton. However, in the Amatsu Hana review, I did say that the head right here is full of cripplingly small parts, but honestly, it was not as bad as I remembered. Maybe this time around, I was a little more mentally prepared. This kit does feature quite a bit of undergating, so that means you won't ruin a lot of that extremely nice finish. But there are a couple of larger surface knobs on the wings just in these particular sections. If they undergated so much, I don't know why they didn't do it here. But besides that, it's definitely a decent build, but I will mention, from my experience with this one, which is 2 years old now, it does loosen up a little bit over time, which, like I've mentioned before, is what I refer to as early real grade syndrome. And it's probably the main reason they've scrapped the MS joint inner frame in newer real grade kits. But either way, out of the box, it's pretty damn good. As usual, we do get that big old sheet of real grade style stickers. I did use a few so you can see what they're like. There is an example of what they look like up on the shoulders. These are in a similar gold to the inner frame, and honestly, I feel they take away from the kit. When this was just a nice pure white, like what you can see with the wings here, I thought it looked very mechanical, very regal, very clean, but these I think mess it up a little bit. There's some more down here, and of course it will depend on your own personal taste if you do like this particular sort of decal. There's the manual showing what it will look like. I think this is a little bit busy, and personally, like I mentioned already, I do think they look so good clean like this. I just think they'd take away a little bit from this pure gloss silhouette right here. As for the other decals we have in here, we've got these metallic gold ones. These have been a staple since the first ever real grade. There's an example one there on the purplish grey inner arm. There's two different ones on the gold arm. They definitely give a bit of extra dimension. We also have this kind here. These fit particular parts. They have some silverish bits as well as some standard writing style decal. There's an example of a fitting one on the knee. This fits this section perfectly, so you don't really see much of an outline. And the same goes for these ones here on the sides of the legs. So that is a little silvery piece, as well as some writing with the unit number. So all in all, the real grade Amatsu Hana right here is absolutely and utterly visually stunning. This is one beautiful kit right here. So now moving on to the accessories, and here is the Amatsu Hana with everything that it comes with. What we get in here is that big sheet of sticker style real grade decals, this clear stand, two different types of wire, that tiny little pilot figure, some vigorous-ish effect parts. As for the weapons, we've got that claw, harpoon shield, big old spear, not one but two swords, a whole bunch of hands which differ quite a bit, I'll get into that when I'm talking about those, and finally, a base adapter. So the first of the accessories I'm going to take a look at is this right here, which of course is the action base adapter because I'm just sick of it falling over. Anyway, that just attaches in there, simple as that right there. Next up then is the hands. This of course is an asymmetrical kit, so the right hand is in a kind of purplish grey, the left hand is in gold. As for the purplish grey one, we've got this widespread open hand. This has those cool looking claw tips, as well as your standard holding hand. Moving now on over to the gold side, we've got another widespread open hand. This time we've got no claws. And as well as that, once again we have another holding hand. And a little different on this side, we've got a fist, as well as one of those old school posable real grade hands. This of course has white fingers, which is a little more color accurate. Actually, let me double check that. Yep, that is a little bit more color accurate. So it is worth noting that we do have those particular hands for this side of the body as well, just they're in the wrong color for this side, but as the whole frame from this kit is taken from the real grade red frame, that does mean it does have another standard arm on that runner. So you do have the whole option of throwing that on there to make it a little more symmetrical if you want. Of course, not accurate to the source material, and you don't get a full shoulder in there. It's missing some parts, so you'll be stuck with this asymmetrical shoulder, but the arms will be similar. Moving now onto the weapons, and this is definitely the most awesome aspect about this kit. First up, we've got this, which is the Trikeros Kai. Once again in the same colors as the mobile suit, that's white, dark red, that purplish grey, flipping around to the other side, a little bit plainer on this side, still looking awesome. And of course, all these little lancer dart sections can all be removed. This little handle section right here, that can rotate like so. And of course, this right here is a beam rifle on top. To attach that, just pops into the holding hand like so, then into the arm there, and clips on in to the back of the forearm. So there's what the Amatsu Hina will look like up on your shelf with the Trikeros Kai attached. And all I can say is this definitely is one awesome looking weapon, but those little lancer dart sections can be a bit on the annoying side. They can flop out, they're a little bit loose, they don't always stay lined up all the time, and could be a little bit better, but all in all, looking pretty sweet. Next up then is another absolutely awesome weapon. This right here is the Tsumuha no Tachi, and essentially this is just a big old claw, and this is quite awesome. So flipping that round, you can actually see the business end of the claw right there. This is kind of blocked by this little armored section here that flips back out of the way and allows the claws to be drawn out from in there, just like that. So there is that claw out in all of its gnarly glory. Pretty damn awesome. So that can just be attached onto the rear of the forearm, just like so. So there is what it will look like in a pose while attached, and all I can say is straight away the first thing you'd think is, well, that's not going to reach anything. It's a little too far back to actually do anything. I would have liked to see this come forward a little bit more, but all in all, it does look gnarly and it does look awesome. It just doesn't look effective. I know it's actually for grabbing the enemy's weapons with, but still, it could do it being out a little bit further. So next on the weapons list then is this bad mama jamma right here known as the Okitsu no Kagami. So essentially this is a cross between a spear and a shield. So it actually attaches onto the mecha with this segment here onto the forearm, but before I attach it, I'll show you some of the mechanisms on here. So it can move back and forward along this shaft right here. The end section here that can spin, bend side to side like so, and can also open up at the top like that right there. We also get a couple of vigorous effect parts. These are definitely very nice. I'd give them a 7 out of 10 on the vigorous scale. So basically we have two formats of energy-ness. There's this one right here, which of course would be more of an attacking spear-like energy effect section. So of course this is for your offensive stabby. And with them spread flat like so, this larger effect part connects on like that. And of course this is your typical Seed style energy shield. So that can flip to the side like that for defensive purposes. However, it is sad to say that to attach this, something has to come off. So that means off with the claw in order to attach this on. So once again, there it is up on the shelf. That is what it will look like in your collection once it's up in a pose with the Okitsu no Kagami attached. And this particular time right here, that is it in shield mode. So all in all, that's a pretty cool looking, quite vigorous effect part. Next up then, and we have a pair of rapier style swords known as the Totsuka no Tsurugi. Like I mentioned, these are rapier style swords, so these are for stabby, not slashy. There is one of them on its own so you can get a better idea of what they look like. They're pretty damn cool looking. Of course, these can be held in the standard holding hands, but when they're not in use, they can be stored on the side skirts, just like that right there. So next up then, in here we got a pair of wires, one thin, one thick. The thicker one is just for using with this segment of the spear that just pops out like so. One end of the wire goes in here. The other end of the wire goes in here. So that segment can be used as a sort of mid-ranged weapon. So all in all, that right there is pretty rad. And that wire is plenty strong to hold that up. Of course, there is that little clear plastic stand as well to support it, just in case you want to do that. That just connects on under here, like that right there. But I find the wire is plenty strong enough to hold it. Next up in here then, of course, we have that thinner wire we saw a little bit earlier. This is for using with the Magashira no Hoku harpoons here on the back. Once again, they pop out just like with the spear. One end of the wire sticks in here. The other then pops onto the harpoon just like so. And that right there is what it looks like. That looks pretty damn cool as well. And the instructions does say to chop that in half so you can use it with both of the harpoons. But that is completely up to your own discretion. If you want one long one, you can do just as you can see right here. Okay, so now moving on to the last segment, which is articulation as usual from the head down. And if you're wondering why I'm talking so fast, it's because it's literally a fight against how much battery my camera has left. So let's go. From the head down. First up, off with the backpack. There's the head all the way down, all the way up. Very minor giggity. These little segments can move up and down ever so slightly. That does not really spin all the way around. No, it doesn't. Shoulder can move forward and back up here. There's the arm all the way up. That shoulder armor is separated to a degree. This little segment can move down and up. The arm can rotate the full 360 degrees, but as you can see, it's quite stiff because of that MS frame, but not for long. That will loosen up. Too much rotation there at the upper arm. Next up there is that bend at the elbow. Flipping around to this one just to see the bend at that one, and pretty much identical on both. 2 points of articulation at the wrist. This one which moves up and down inside the forearm. Ball joint there. Actually a third joint allowing that to flip forward and back. And of course, this is the real grade style hand, which has a lot of articulation at a lot of the parts you can see right there, like so. I took off the leg just to show this thing's ab crunch, which is pretty cool. When it moves forward, inside of the waist unit here, you can see that section moves up and down there. So that is pretty cool. To the back, you don't get a whole lot. Not much at all, but to the front, pretty damn good. There is that side to side. That feels like that's all that's there. That can rotate all the way around. Little front skirts, those are on ball joints. Side skirts have rotation as well as down and up. This has a moving butt flap, which is something I always like. When that moves forward and back at the ab crunch, that does raise that armor up and down. Pretty cool. Standard rotating hip joint in here, so that's it all the way to the back, all the way to the front, so this doesn't drop down or anything to give a little bit of extra articulation, but really, that is already awesome. There it is all the way to the outside, so definitely can pull off the splits. We have full rotation here at the upper leg. Next up, there is the bend at the knee, and that is extremely nice. There's a whole lot going on inside of the knee when that is bent, so let's see that one more time. There is it all closing up. So the knee armor does split open when the knee is bent. Ever so slightly, but that is still a really nice feature. Next up then is the ankle joint. This isn't the greatest. We've got a ball joint up here with fairly limited motion. A side to side pivot down here. This little section here can move down and up. And as for this, I can't tell if that's a joint or loose parts. So next up, taking a look at the backpack, we've got this little segment here which allows it to tilt up and down when it's attached to the back. We have a joint here which allows the wings to come in and out like so, but of course the bot's going to be here most of the time, so that is going to block that inwards motion, but it is there. A standard point of rotation right here. That can rotate pretty much all of the way around. Yeah, pretty much. The wing can pivot here. That's it all the way down, all the way up. The little segment with the harpoons, that can come out like this. This armor section can spread up like so. This part here can slide in and out like that. We've got more pivot right here. This part can slide out to give a bit more extension, and this part can pivot. So there's a lot going on in these awesome, killer looking wings. So just to see that again, that's it all spread out, clips in here, goes in here, 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 and here. So quite the bit of movement there. Oh yeah, and that. Lastly then, around the back, we've got these tiny little flippy flappies. So all in all, the articulation on this guy right here is fantastic. The only real joints that let it down are the ankles as well as the neck. Besides that though, you're going to get pretty much anything that you want. So that right there is it for the review. This is an absolutely and utterly fantastic looking kit. This is one of the most beautiful small scale model kits I have ever laid my eyes on. And that includes, of course, the black version that's right there as well. So the ranking I'm going to give here holds for both the Amatsu Mina, the black one, as well as the Amatsu Hana, the white one. And that is, these are silver tier. So that means this is pretty much exactly what I would expect from a real grade, but the ranking is a bit askew this time around, and let me explain why. Pretty much every aspect of these kits is gold tier. Visually, they're absolutely phenomenal looking, and the white one looks that much better just because the details pop so much better on the white, and it gives it that real regal look. So looks-wise, it would have been gold tier. When it comes to the accessories, both of these have the exact same accessories, just once again, one's white, one's black, and these are some of the coolest real grade weapons or even 1/44th scale weapons around. So that would have been gold tier. Next up then, the articulation is quite good. It's only the neck and the ankles that let this guy down, so that would have made it gold tier too. But both of these kits suffer from something I've mentioned so many times before with real grades, and that is E or S, what I call early real grade syndrome. Out of the box, these kits feel absolutely fantastic. Brilliant in every way, but give that frame some time and a lot of playing around with, and that thing will loosen up like crazy. Pretty much to the point where they won't be able to stand up anymore, so that is really the only problem. So with a lot of the Seed kits that have huge big old backpacks like this guy right here, the Destiny, the Strike Freedom, all of those, that does become a bit of a problem. They can't stand up, they can't really hold themselves up too well even on an action base, and all in all they've got a bit of a marionette-ness to them after a while. Fresh build, awesome. After a while, they just ain't what they used to be anymore. Probably why Bandai scrapped the MS frame. But anyway, as always, if you do want one of your own, because they do look fantastic, I've put a link to BUYEE down there in the description, as well as the link to the Amazon page where I bought this guy right here. As always, please leave a like, it does help out the channel, and as always, make sure to come back for more gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time.